And we welcome you to the debrief for Event 10 in Season 5 of the Rolex Switzerland Sail Grand Prix Geneva, part of the Rolex SailGP Championship. Alongside Hannah Diamond and Stevie Morrison, I am Todd Harris. Wow, what a crazy 2 days. Hannah, wasn't the biggest breeze we've ever seen, but Super Sunday delivered the drama.
Yeah, it did. That's right. And there was a lot to learn for the teams this weekend because we had the new light air T-foils on for the first time. Some delays for wind, but, you know, some great racing as well.
And in the end, Stevie, first-time winners, Germany, they're in the winner's circle.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And we had the conversation, didn't we? Was it harder here or was it harder out on the water? Because it felt pretty crazy watching the racing and trying to comment on it. But, yeah, what a performance by the Germans. We saw a few weeks ago, I think, that there was a crisis meeting held in the middle of the summer. And I'd love to know what they said in that meeting, because they've really turned it around, haven't they? You know, a 4th place, a 5th place, and then they've come out with a win, and thoroughly deserved. They sailed brilliantly today, and they look pretty slick when they're out and clear.
How big of an impact do you think the new T-foils were, and did it play a big role in today, especially with the light wind?
I think what we saw is they're going to be awesome. In terms of as the crews get used to using them. We were in a freshwater venue here, so the boats are harder to get foiling anyway. You know, the weather was hard this weekend. We thought it would be light, then suddenly there was a lot of wind, and we didn't want an incident where we've got too much wind for the foils, so they changed the rudders to the smaller rudders, which then meant you had a bit of an imbalance between the front and the back of the boat. And it was I think in hindsight the wind didn't come as much as they thought, so we ended up with the wrong rudder elevators on. But what we did see is the boats fly better, they glide better, the performance has gone up. There's an awful lot for the crews to learn. I don't know, fastest boat to me looked like the Australians, Hannah. I don't know what you think. I mean, they didn't quite get it done in the final. They didn't quite get off the start line all weekend, but my word, they could rescue themselves.
Yeah, and I think we've always seen that the light winds is kind of their only Achilles heel, and starting wasn't the strongest this weekend, but their ability to claw back, I think particularly with just 3 sailors on board, the number of roles they're having to juggle when the boats get up and foiling, and you know that's happening at a slower boat speed now with these bigger light air foils, so they're foiling more of the time, which is great, but the amount of jobs that need to be done on board when there's just 3 people, it is full on, and I don't think we get so much of an impression of that when we're watching.
You were saying that, yeah, that we didn't quite get it across. How when the boat's out in front and you've perhaps not got anything else to focus on other than what you're doing on the boat, it's doable. But as soon as you're having to try and do all of your jobs and then think outside the box with something that's not planned, it's really hard. And, you know, it's interesting how the teams are learning to manage that, how the different crew members that can still talk to the sailors on the boat from off the rib or in the coach's booth are talking. It's really interesting to listen into how the teams are breaking that down. But, yeah, the new foils definitely are a real jump up for the fleet. And, you know, Bond's Flying Rouge is going to be good. And we saw also just how minute decisions can have massive outcomes. About halfway down the first leg of race 5, so the final race of the qualifying for the final, New Zealand were in second. Spain were winning, but Spain had to have a good result, and New Zealand would have been easily into the final. They would have pretty much been guaranteed for a place in the grand final. Burling went a little bit early for the right turn. I thought he would have just gone 2 for the left turn. He didn't, and then he got himself caught, trapped by the Canadians, suddenly bounced around in the pack. Penalties. And they're right back in it. We look at the overalls now, Todd, and we think about that race to the final, and we've got the Black Foils, 73 points. They're just 3 ahead of Spain. I think it's now a 4-horse race, straight shot. But yeah, 76 points the Bonds Flying Rouge, 75 Emirates Great Britain, 73 for the New Zealand Black Foils, and then Los Gallos 70. I mean, anything could happen now.
You showed me some serious courage by telling Tom Slingsby that the only chink in his armor was light wind. I was like, oh, easy, Stevie. He just finished. He didn't win a race. Don't you want to poke the grizzly here? But the good news is for the Bonds Flying Rouge, they're back in first place, and I think they feel that momentum shifting. Cadiz normally a little more wind than we saw here in Geneva, but what do you anticipate? What do you think is going to happen now? As Stevie said, 4 boats really battling for 3 positions.
Well, Cadiz is an interesting venue as well because you can get quite a big sea state rolling in. So it's one of those venues, again, where, you know, Geneva we expected to be quite light winds, and it did end up playing out like that, but we don't know exactly what it's going to be like. It could be light, it could be breezy, so the teams have got to really be prepared for everything. And so, you know, I'd expect that would probably play into the hands of Bonds Flying Rouge. They're pretty happy at the top of the table. They just need a solid result, whereas I think the overall results between Black Foils and the Spanish Los Gallos, the pressure's really on because only one of them can take that spot in the final. And obviously Emirates GBR are not safe either. And we've seen how easy it is to pick up a lot of points and, you know, drop a lot of points compared to the teams behind you. So no one's safe, but I think it's going to be about making sure you're all well-rounded and ready to race.
I think where we are as well, Todd, look, we look at the overalls there. On 23 points in 9th overall, Germany Deutsche Bank. Well, they just won an event.
Yeah.
You know, so that's now the 7th team to have won an event this season. So the standard of the fleet is just going up.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a case of, oh yeah, these teams at the bottom aren't getting any better. They are getting better. Everyone's getting better, and it's the same. Black Foils, Los Gallos, Emirates, Bonds Flying Rouge, they've all got to do it. But yeah, for teams like Germany Deutsche Bank, you know, they're right in the mix now. They can easily play spoiler in this race to the final. Switzerland, 2 finals in a row and on home turf. I mean, so good.
I will say, though, counterpoint, I think if we are honest with one another, the cream has really risen to the top. And I mean, throughout the season of 10 events, you would probably say the 4 best teams are Black Foils, Emirates GBR, Bonds Flying Rouge, and probably Los Gallos, Spain.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, Los Gallos, they've had some really amazing moments. They won 2 events back-to-back earlier in the season. But there's been some moments where I think they can get really kind of stuck in the detail, like the first race today, so race 4. Really kind of aggressive, kind of maybe missing slightly some of the bigger picture, which put them right at the back of that race. Mistakes like that you can't afford to have when it comes to trying to pick up an overall result, and they in some ways were lucky to get off the line well and take that race win in the last race today, which really kind of saved, at the moment, is saving their season, getting them closer to reaching that event final. So they can sail really well, but they have to put in their best performance when it comes to Cadiz.
They only just made the grand final last year.
Yeah.
It's true.
So they might only scrape in this year. But
and that is a winner-take-all. So all you can do is get in that top 3, and we'll talk about that over and over again. All right, Stevie, as we look forward to Cadiz and that, what do you think the teams go away with this race? Do they focus on what happened here and getting more meshed in with the technology, or is it just all about Cadiz and then it's all on?
I think they'll have a lot of learning to do on the foils with the little bit of headspace they've got and just this light air sailing. You know, we had some quite nice breeze sailing, comfortable foiling around. Yes, we'll possibly remember it for the moments where it was really down and slower, but there was a lot of races where you were able to foil around comfortably. We haven't had a lot of the 3 people on board racing, so I think there'll be an awful lot of comms for the different teams to learn and kind of improve on there. I think there's a challenging event like this will bring up a lot of mistakes. Mistakes are real opportunities to learn. So I think the teams will try and dive into a lot of them. And then, yeah, a few days out from Cadiz, right, what does the forecast look from Cadiz? Which of those lessons do we need to draw on for the racing we're going to have that weekend?
We're looking forward to it. So 10 events up, 10 events down, 1 more to go, and then it is off to Abu Dhabi. We want to remind you, October 4th and 5th, it will be the DP World Sail Grand Prix, Spain, Andalusia, Cadiz. Hope to see you there. Once again, congratulations. Geneva goes the way of the Germans as they win their very first ever event. So for Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, I'm Todd Harris. We will see you in Spain.